Any day, the wheels will come off. I close my eyes and hold my breath without moving my ribs. Slowly, I sink further and further into daydream, where my legs fuse together. Like a sleek seal, I glide in the depths of my imagination, away from the searing pain, the questions, the dressings, the morphine. The more I can overcome the visuals in my mind, the more I can push out the traumatic memories from that fateful moment that landed me here. Often the most unrelated thing will trigger my mind. Often such a fickle thing. The headlights, the point of impact, the sirens, it all sends electricity up and down my spine, and then a jolt that sends me into a physical aftershock of the why. Truthfully, I'm lucky to be alive. And just like that, a soft knock on the wood door shatters the mirage, sending me into a second wave. Although the first shock is always the worst after I escape into the depths of my mind. MedCheck is here. I try to maneuver myself around to face the door with the only good appendage that still works, my dominant right hand. What a small blessing in disguise. I can push a button to scooter around at the rate of a sloth. A fuzzy, warm figure stands in the doorway, backlit by a hallway of dim dismay and dismal prognosis. "What are you doing out of bed?" says the night nurse. "You must have written another note. You know, Tracy is such a softie. I'll have to have another word with her." Not being able to talk well has its drawbacks, but the silver lining is that they let me keep a notepad and I can make out the occasional muffled word. The shakiest of symbols and short sentences are all that I can muster at this point. She disappears briefly. I hold my breath and count until she returns. In retaliation, my ribs pulsate when I appear to the surface by exhaling. While she's gone, I visualize Tracy getting an earful in the nursing station. The door is ajar. I navigate the scooter towards the door with the finesse of an elephant playing a video game. The joystick is more stick than joy. Whoever donated the scooter to the hospital should have to be bandaged in a body cast and try to navigate a corn maze. Maybe then they'll decide to upgrade to the thing that's count. I make it to the hallway. The glimmer on the linoleum dazzles with the reminder that the cleaning staff may very well be psychotic. Can't wait to make use of those crutches that lean up against the wall, taunting me. My whole body aches as usual. When the pain meds wear off, throbbing intensifies, switching to shooting pain. If anyone asks, the pain is innate, but it's a lie. I close my eyes and visualize the day when I take my first step. Physio is really a long way off. 39 days long term and counting. The one thing that can get me out of bed and keep me out of bed is the ability to wheel the halls. At this point, the people watching is what makes it count. Snails would mock me, granted, and Nurse Tracy comes by with a frantic look on her face. "Back to bed, please." I ignore her and play dumb and scoot past her. Suddenly, my scooter discovers it has double the horsepower and rubs away. Okay, so it might look like a golf cart at full speed, but tell that to my achy body. My best defense against a nurse that fears the dark. Chances are they're just irked by now. In all my cleverness, I don't notice that the nurse has been joined by another nurse, and they take off running at full tilt in the opposite direction. This must be why they wear sneakers. Not a prerequisite to be a sprinter, but definitely a perk. A security guard whizzes past, radioing for backup in the same direction. Now I need to find out what is going on. In stealth mode, of course, I awkwardly maneuver around the corner in the direction of the lounge towards the nurse's station. That's where all the tea is spilled, inadvertently. Just stop there and try not to look too pitiful. If you play up the injuries, they might divert their duties to me. Right now, I definitely do not want that. My curiosity is quelling my pain. Nearing the office, where lovingly referred to the fishbowl, I manage to stop in the shadow of the propped-up door that is ajar. I strain my ear to hear a concerned voice say, "We have another dump and run." They speculate that they didn't have a place to take Grandma before they took off for vacation. And here we are trying to keep up with her. Turns out no one speaks Sinhala or Tamil here. Another voice scoffs and says, "Let's hope they come back for her." Not what I was thinking I'd hear, but here we are. The adjacent lounge is a big open space with a high ceiling. Long-term care is where it's at, if you ask me, but nobody's asking. The space doubles as a cafeteria where we can eat. There's a space for reading in the corner, crafting during classes, puzzles, a workout station in the far south, and an inner courtyard. There is a kitchenette on the right, couches and a TV right behind it, against the wall. Most importantly, the expansive area allows people like me to feel like we have autonomy despite being stuck wheeling around. I back away slowly and head towards the library nook. At least, if I'm found there, less questions get asked. For once, something exciting is happening. I will pretend to doze as I nestle against the wall next to the bookcase, filled with ancient, stale, smelly paperbacks that have been donated. Smells of percolating coffee arouse my nostrils. Apparently the best part of pretending to doze, it usually turns into reality, at least these days. Not completely disappointed, I tilt my head slightly forward. Pain is also back, just like clockwork. A lineup for the dripping coffee is forming. Breakfast mush will arrive any minute now. Better get a seat at one of the tables. Thankfully, the care team takes pity on my state and brings my food to me. Depending on what it is, they'll feed me. Just as well as I'm about to face the courtyard and glass menagerie, the doors open. And not one, not two, but 3 security guards stand with a frail-looking thing that has apparently absorbed all the moisture during the last rainfall. No small feat, given the fact that the raincoast is a rainforest. All 3 guards look exhausted. The culprit of the escape looks like she can't be any younger than 75. She pulls a twig out of her scraggly hair. She almost has a feisty glint in her shifty posture. She's ready to dash at any second now. On high alert, her eyes dart from side to side. Impressive, Grandma. Her great escape landed her on the high alert equal to that when a fight breaks out on the ward. Don't ask me how I know this. Not 1, not 2, but 3 security guards? What went down out there? Still curious, I pretend to make my way over to make myself a tea across the open area next to the lounge. Part of me feels interested enough to make a coffee, but that means more unwanted visits by the nurse. Ding! Like clockwork, the trays arrive. The staff, one by one, set out the trays at the various tables lined up around the room. Little by little, groggy hospital stairs saunter in and find their designated tray. The guards mumble to one another and bring over their ward's food. I try to pour out my own food. One of the orderlies assigned to breakfast sees my plate and rushes over to help me to prevent what we all know might happen. Here they say, let me help me with that. Rather than help, they just take over. I try to smile and bow my head in acknowledgement of their help. Weak as it might be, this is my best effort to show appreciation. Considering my current circumstances, I truly hope they can understand. I saddle up to the escapee, attempting, and point to the orderly to show where I would like my food. A nurse bustles up to my table and begins to try to feed me. I watch the escapee intently. One of her security guards, lanky and a bit dopey, is watching everything other than their patient. Another one is watching her fastidiously. This guard is on high alert, almost as high-strung as his patient. One hand on the radio to draw it as fast as possible if anything might happen in a moment's notice. Their bird eyes will catch any minutiae as their head swivels back and forth like a creepy doll on alert. The third guard is meanwhile flirting with the nurse that is handing out the various trays of food. No wonder it takes 3 to watch this spry one. I open my mouth as far as I can muster as my nurse nudges me to open up. My morning sustenance, mush with fake sugar, yay, just as delicious as the fake coffee that they serve. At least I can swallow this. My nurse motions to the tray to Grandma as if she was playing charades, acting out eating. Grandma squints even more than ever. sticks her nose away from the nurse, and pushes the tray towards mine. This pushes my tray directly off the table onto my lap. My applesauce and oatmeal sail and plop. Everywhere, all at once. Simultaneously, I groan and gasp as my body tenses. Not so much at the sensation, more the realization that this means a bath. Something I so loathe in my current state. Anything to get out of more nurse activity, especially the intimate kind. As a team descends on me to clean up the spill, out of the corner of my heavy eyelids caked with mush, I spy another nurse walk up with the medications for Grandma. The nurse tries to hand them to Grandma. She slaps her hand and the pills go flying everywhere. Immediately, the team of drones, busy bees, and guards descend on Grandma. I can no longer see her as I'm wheeled away to the dreaded sponge bath area. This means a new dressing and more pain on less meds. Can hardly wait. I feel for Grandma in some ways, as much as I'm terrified of not being able to be in charge of my own faculties. At least I can understand the why and what is going on around me. People can let me know what's happening. If someone dumped you at a hospital in a foreign country and you didn't know the language and why you were there, how would you feel? As I pass the nurse's whiteboard next to the fishbowl, I see that Linda is on it. Surely that is a woman in her 40s or 50s. I squeak out a measly request for Linda to sponge me. She pops her head out of the office and sees that my nurse of the day is Colin. She nods knowingly and agrees to swap my name on her rotation. Off we go to the bathroom behind the fishbowl, down the northwest corridor towards the end of the hallway. They wrap up virtually everything that can be, and unwrap anything that can be unwrapped. It is kind of an ordeal at this point. Being dirty just means I get itchy. Being clean just means I have a hard time regulating my temperature and the pain management. Both are just as annoying for entirely different reasons. About an hour later, I'm rewrapped, redressed, dried, and ready for a nap. I ask to be wheeled to my room. We enter the lounge for a bit. I look over and see Grandma huddled in the same chair that she was in before, only this time she's holding her legs to her chest with her chin resting in between her knees, still with a perplexed, distrusting gaze shifting back and forth like before. To be that flexible would be lovely again. Somehow this is my takeaway in all of this morning's drama. I'm back in my room. Linda asks, "Want to be put to bed?" I shake my head no. "Blinds up or down?" she says. I say down, thanks. Slumber overcomes me as I fade, somehow content despite the fact that my meds were in my mush and painted across the floor, my lap, and the landscape of the lounge. I wake up and awkwardly maneuver myself out back into the lounge, bumping and bouncing against almost every surface as I go, like I'm in a bumper car race with myself. Across the lounge, next to the vents and the doors, stand the guards with their back to Grandma. Grandma, fast asleep, drapes herself in her chair like a spaghetti noodle that has been thrown to see if it will stick. Sleep finally has stuck. At the table next to Grandma, someone has left out paper and crayons. Suddenly, I get an idea. As stealthily as I can muster, I make my way to the table. I take a piece of paper from that table and a red crayon. With my good hand, I shakily begin to drawing. Once I am done, a shaky off-center heart and arrow are on the page. I whir over to Grandma. Security guards completely unaware and chatting up the nurses at the station behind me. She's out, as I am louder than I would like. I place the paper in front of the sleeping Noodle in the table. I rotate my chair in the direction of the lounge behind, in the far southwest corner, open center of the carrot floor, behind the kitchenette. It's a great spot to spy on people as you forget that they're there unless you spot them. I pretend that I'm interested in the daytime television show that is on low. Slowly I back up my chair so that I can visibly see what will happen when the Noodle wakes up. Sure enough, about an hour and a half goes by. Grandma wakes up with a long Noodle-like stretch. Linguini looks around and then down and startles, as if she's performing a mime performance. She then hurriedly looks around to see where the note came from. I pretend to doze in the discreet corner. I can tell she doesn't suspect a thing from me. Then Grandma does almost the unexpected. She grabs her food tray that is still in front of her. Gingerly, she opens the lid to find food underneath. Surprised, she still seems distrustful of free care and kindness. She pulls out a spoon and assesses her mush with a dainty bite. Then she scarfs the whole thing at record speed. From the fishbowl in the north end of the lounge, a nurse looks over the ledge out into the open area. In no time, the nurses fly out of the lounge. "She's eating," says her nurse. "Quick, get her meds, see if she'll finally take them." The security guards hang back, bashfully scratching their heads at this sudden turn of events. Grandma Noodle lifts the glass, her hands steadily despite everything. In an instant, it's empty. Her pills are gone with it. "What do you know?" murmurs a flabbergasted nurse. Yes, what do you know, indeed. Perhaps Mark Twain was right all along. Kindness is a language all hearts understand. In the swirl of chaos, pain, and small victories, I realize that even fleeting moments of connection make the struggle meaningful. Somehow the chaos of this hospital morning had given me a glimpse of something much more profoundly human.